So let me ask you a question. Is that you've built a beautiful store there, and the reason I wanted to have you on the show is because I'm aware of other stores you built before this one, and I know this is like opening any day. But I have friends that you've built stores for, and I've seen your brother's stores, and you know how to build a laundromat. So really, what we want to get into and talk about today is the concept of why would someone, and let's say hypothetically they're new to the industry, but it could even be someone with an existing laundromat, and they're deciding to expand. You as a distributor, you get people that come to you on a regular basis. I would assume daily, but probably weekly or monthly for sure. And they come to you, and I would guess one of the first things they say to you is, should I build a new laundromat or should I buy an existing laundromat, whether it's a rundown, dumpy laundromat, and retrofit it and fix it up? That's a conversation I have quite often and as a coach, and I'm not a distributor. I imagine you have that conversation quite a bit. I want to walk through how you answer that question, because I like to tell people in my coaching, almost the answer to almost every question you ask me is it depends. That's the answer. That drives them crazy, but it's the truth. And then we got to talk about the parameters and the aspects of how we make decisions. Can you walk us through how you and your organization make those decisions? And obviously it's based on supply and demand and demographics and square footage and
Sure.
layouts
Yeah.
and all these things, because I
Right.
think this is a big conversation that, quite frankly, JD, I don't think has had enough.
No, I agree with you. Now,
Yeah.
what do I do when somebody comes and asks me, do I need to open one or do I need to buy a zombie mat? Well, like we said before, the first thing you have to look at is availability. Okay, what's available in the market right now that we can focus on? Because I'm telling you, the way building is in any of these towns, the way codes are, the way construction is, the way equipment availability is, it's terrifying. I
Well,
mean,
and
like,
building costs right now, since
oh,
COVID, building costs are through the roof.
well, and nobody has equipment to sell because you can't get computer boards, right?
Yeah.
And it's a problem. Availability is a big thing, right? So what's available? If I've got a zombie mat in the market that I know, or a fine laundry that somebody just wants to sell,
Right.
and from my experience, and I have been blessed with a lot of experience valuing companies, and I know how to do this, and I know what's bunk and what's real, and if you value a company, you either value it by the assets or you value it by the cash flow. You don't get both.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of laundry owners think, yeah, well, my cash flow is worth this, and then I'm going to sell you the equipment. No, that's not how this works.
You don't have cash flow without equipment.
Right. And it's just, but I get it. Like, and a lot of laundry owners are not real well versed in how you sell a business, and that's fine. And everybody's baby is the best baby ever. You have to you have to really look at what's going on in the market. Okay, is there a location? And one of the things that a good distributor does is they always looking for locations, right? If you've got sales guys and you're a distributor, and those sales guys kind of have a light day, they need to be running miles on those vehicles looking around, right? And you call your distributor and you're like, well, what do you guys have? They should know. They should be like, well, you need to go to this one. You need to look at that market or whatever. They're going to be a little careful in the beginning as to telling you, hey, this space here, because right now the most valuable thing in this entire industry is location. Okay?
Absolutely.
Now, they also should say, well, there's a lot of good stuff out there, but, I'm going to make up a name. Bobby Furtick over here has been a customer of mine for, 10 years, is really trying to get out. He's got a great store. It needs some work. Let's go look at it. Or these folks are really not doing a good job. Let's see if we can contact them. And so it's going to depend on availability. Now, first and foremost, and most importantly, we're going to try to get to know you. Okay. We spend a lot of time trying to get to know our clients and our future clients, and it always pays dividends. I have clients out there that would not have survived building a laundromat from the ground up, but they are brilliant laundromat owners. but they just do not have the risk profile to do that. There's nothing wrong with this, right?
So risk profile is very important.
It
And
is.
whether
It's-
to what are the reasons for that? Can you explain the thought process?
Yeah, so some people just have more of an understanding of risk. If you look at some of the greatest businessmen of our time, like Sam Walton, they invested in sure deals,
Mhm.
right? They only made investments in sure deals. So, but some people just can't live with themselves if they're taking the amount of risk that it would take to start something ground up. And it's really up to me, and in my case, John, to figure that out.
Mhm.
And if we've gotten better at figuring out who that is, and then we start moving them toward, purchasing a laundromat, and then watching them, use their own creativity and their own business acumen to improve that, which is just as good as building one from the ground up. I mean, there's no dishonor in that. There's no honor in going and building one from the ground up. And these are business decisions. And at the end of the day, the person who's spending all the money and taking all the risk, you are going to have to reconcile that with yourself and your family. We try to match the risk with the risk profile. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you have availability, and then you have that, and then there is that third group that does both, and those people are the ones that really make it, right? They go driving down the road and they're like, I want to own that store. You know what I mean? Or they go driving down the road and they're like, hey, look at that spot. I'm going to build a store there. You know what I mean?
That would be
But those
Dave.
are,
He does that all the time.
yeah.
The
But
store,
those are
the store I'm
also
building right
people-
now, I've been driving by for 10 years saying I'm going to own that store someday.
So there's that. It's the risk profile, right? So what is, we try to make a judgment call on where would this customer be most successful? They be most successful in, a turnaround situation? Would they be most successful in a already successful laundromat with, $250,000 in revenue, but it just needs that creative push, or, are they the kind of guy that wants to wade into that gunfight, guns blazing, build that laundromat and show everybody how it's done? And those three people bleed into each other, but by and large, they're kind of three different people, And so we really try to focus on what is the best for our customer. And sometimes our customer doesn't agree with us,
Hmm.
and then there's a conversation that is sometimes a little bit hard, and I've had situations where customers have been like, well, why didn't you give me that location? And then, they get sort of angry, and we're like, well, we put you in this location, you're doing great. And then, 6 months down the road, when we're still trying to build that location, and the customer that ended up taking it over, is okay with it because their risk profile, they're like, man, I'm glad you didn't put us over there. Like, we would not have survived this. Like, this would have been
Right.
terrible for my marriage, that kind of
Yeah.